Let me...
Because we can do it online, too, so you don't have to leave the house. You can sit there in your little robe.
Yeah, because we're doing dinner with you on the 3rd, which means, I probably am off on the 7th.
I mean, you could also just sit there in your T-shirt, nothing else underneath it.
I mean, double ducking it is one of the pleasures.
The home recording thing.
I mean, it's one of the true pleasures of working from home.
We're going to pull back the curtain. We're actually both Donald ducking it right now. We just don't, as long as we don't look down, it's great. You know?
It's great, yeah.
Hi, and welcome to Seriously Pointless Conversations about Culture, your Seriously Pointless podcast about all your nerdy geek things across time and the interdimensional land of Sudra. My name is David, and I am joined by James.
Hey, that was kind of a stretch on that one.
I'm trying. It was. It's just I'm trying to go with things. So obviously, it's one of those things that. We're trying to find intros in all of our that connect things together, and sometimes they're very loose and very wiggly wobbly, timey-wimey kind of stuff. But anyways, today, guys, where James and I are going to be talking about the wonderfully delightful independent game Axiom Verge. It's something that James actually hasn't got a hold of yet, but he's heard me talk about it enough the last 2 weeks that he might actually not have to play it at all. But who knows? He probably will at some point. But anyways. So before we get into the meat and the potatoes of things, we're going to start with some nice buttery carrots that have been sauteed for approximately like 15, 20 minutes. Got a nice caramelized thing on. Sorry, we were watching a lot of food videos.
I'm using some brown sugar and some butter.
Yeah, that's some good. That's
cinnamon.
That's some good West cooking right there. There's some like parsnips in there with them too. That'd be really good, dude. I was digging some parsnips. Wow, we were really tangenting off into.
Okay, so parsnips are amazing.
By the way, this is going to be the David and James Food Network show. Finally,
yeah, I'd be down for that.
We're just going to go off on a tangent. But anyways, where you said parsnips,
start a YouTube channel. We can do some cooking videos. It might be a real niche for us.
That's right. It's hey, I could be your bumbling like beaker assistant. I'm like me.
We can like talk about Pokemon and like make a Togepi angel food cake. I mean, it'd be great.
That would be intense. I would be down. Like if you could get a cutout mold of Togepi, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, let's fucking do this. So that besides us trying to talk about our aspirations about being nerdy cooks, what have you been up to this week, man?
So I have been playing a game that came out last year called Spiritfarer.
Yeah, so I saw that on Game Pass too.
It was on the Game Pass, and I got it on my Xbox, and I've been playing it for the last few days, and it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's about like you take over Charon's role as like the Spiritfarer. You're like you find spirits out in the world, and like you usher them back, and you help them like solve their last regrets and mistakes in life, and then you bring them eventually back to the gate, like where spirits leave and they leave the world. And in the meantime, like you have this boat, and you like build farms, and you build foundries, and you build them little houses, and you upgrade their houses, and you do quests for them, and you kind of explore the.
This seems like it's right up your alley.
It's yeah, it's kind of got that Harvest Moon-y type vibe where you're gathering resources and you're building stuff and you're upgrading your ship and then you're doing these little quests, and eventually everyone gets a very emotional send off, which I could kind of skip that part, but
James,
it's all about the upgrades.
You skipped the story?
I read all the story.
I'm proud of you.
It's a little telling though that the time length of the cutscene for sending off these characters is like 3 minutes. Wow. But if you read really fast, you can finish reading the cutscene in like 20 seconds, and then you just gotta watch them scroll across the screen as they get to the end of it.
James, can't believe you do that. Somebody worked really hard on this game,
and I read every word of it.
Anyways, though, that's awesome. Though I have actually loaded it up on my PC. I really want to play it too. So I just have been putting it off and kind of doing a couple little things too. So
it's very chill. It's a no pressure game.
That's what I've been feeling like I need the last couple of weeks. It's just like something that I just don't have to think about, but it's like calm and relaxing, and it still has a good enough story to kind of get me a little bit involved. I'm not like I've got to get all the achievements. I've got to get them all.
No, for this one, it's like, man, I need 4 cabbages for that dude, and he won't be happy till I get him 4 cabbages.
Hey, you know what? I know a guy that has a cabbage cart. Just saying.
My cabbages.
Oh my god, I love that show. Kelly,
how about you? What have you been up to?
And so I have actually been working all weekend, so that was phenomenal. Before that, though, I have actually been playing a little bit more of Binding of Isaac and Super Mario Odyssey. Like I said, like I told you last time, I'm dead set on trying to get at least the majority of the moons.
Mm-hmm.
From Super Mario Odyssey, and there's definitely going to be some difficult ones in there, especially the Koopa freestyle racing or the free runner racings.
Yeah,
it's a little irritating. I don't know if they upgraded it to where it's going to be, where it is based on people's runs times and or like how they ran on it or how they do that, or if it's just all built in already. I don't know. But there's some seriously fast turtles that I have to try to beat in some of these some of these
you
things.
need some of those speedrun strats.
I don't, dude. That's what I was looking at. I'm looking at it and I'm like, how are they doing these moves? Like, I'm like, maybe I'm just doing it all wrong and I don't know. But yeah,
if watching Smileland is any indication, they just kind of go straight up the cliff face and skip the whole race.
Oh god, if I could do that, if I was that good, I would be down there. And I'm sitting there just watching turtles. I'm like, I'll just follow the turtles. Wrong move.
I think that's the thing. You can't run faster than the turtles, so as long as you're taking their route, you're never going to win.
No, that's kind of what I'm assuming. But
you need to cheat.
That's what I'm trying to get down to at this point because I was playing a normal race against him, and he just like by a massive 15 seconds, the number one guy beat me, but I was still in second. I'm like, who does this? I'm like, who makes this game? This is BS. But other than that, it's all the other trophies or the moons have been pretty much a breeze, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most of it's just like go here, pound that, do a quick little weird maneuver, but it's fun enough that you stay in invested in it, so it's not crazy out there.
And that's what I found. A lot of those post game moons are more just a question of finding them more than anything. I think you're meant to talk to the chat hint parrot and do them one by one. And
yeah, no. Screw that parrot. I don't want to talk to him at all.
You got the guide loaded up and you're just clicking through them and doing them?
I might be. Luckily, whoever made those has got all the moons time stamped, and so I can jump around to whichever ones I need.
Oh gosh, a video guide even.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a very visual kind of guy, so give me a break. It's phenomenal. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been doing that, and what was the other thing I've been doing? I have been watching some more Venture Brothers, which I'm already actually all the way into season 2, which I have a feeling you remember Venture Brothers.
I remember Venture Brothers.
The show was pretty disjointed to begin with, at least, but in season 1, there's at least kind of somewhat of a plot.
Yeah.
Since in season 2, I don't know what the hell is going on half the time. And it kind of makes me a little bit I can kind of see why they didn't renew it. I think because they did 3 seasons and then didn't get renewed for a while, I think. But
and by the nature of the show, I mean, it doesn't really lend itself to a consistent plot anyway.
Well, even if they did something as much as hey, this week, Dr. Venture, got his arm cut off. Next week, they don't even talk about it, or they don't even talk about how I just want the smallest bit of consistency.
Well, it's one of those shows about nothing. It's a collection of essential lunatics who are kind of, bound together on this very thin premise, and then you just kind of put them in weird situations and see what happens.
Although they do, I think
shows like that are a ton of fun, but they don't get 12 seasons.
No, they don't. The one thing they do kind of consistently go back towards is the Monarch's relationship with Dr. Girlfriend, which is hilarious. They do come back, and it's like a love triangle between the Monarch, Dr. Girlfriend, and then Phantom Limb. That whole thing, and why is this even a thing? It seems like we should just make a show about these three and how much they get pissed off at each other and they get back together, and then they just hate the Venture brothers industries to no end. But somehow Brock always stops the bad thing. That's literally the plot of the whole show. But yeah, I've been watching that, and that's been a blast. Actually, on top of that, I actually started watching the new Hugh Jackman movie, Reminiscence.
Okay,
it's bizarre. It's kind of like a dystopian future movie. but like, so it's set in Miami, and like the flood, like, you know, oceans have risen, things like that.
Mhm.
So like a vast majority of the city is like kind of like partially underwater, but you can still move around in it. Well, obviously, it's like wars came about because of all this jazz, and then people started getting really nostalgic. It's kind of like a little bit what we're going through
Okay.
now, a little bit. It's a little depressing, but it's starting to kind of turn into a kind of a thriller. So, like, this gal comes into his lab, I guess you would call it, because people start to, you know, like I said, start to reminisce a little bit more, you know, want to go back, you know, get nostalgic. And they have these little tubes that you can sit in that basically stimulate your brain so you can remember things, and you can basically relive those memories
Okay.
like in real time. And he runs this facility, but this gal comes in, he kind of falls in love with her, and I think it kind of goes from there. That's kind of where I'm
Is that
at.
where you're at?
About where I'm at. He's done the one night stand thing with her, and now he's kind of like starting to get to know her a little bit. I'm interested to see, like, I'm sure she's going to get killed off, and he's going to get obsessed with her, or she's going to disappear or something like that, and it's going to be really cool.
Something like
Or maybe it's just a memory that he's going through.
Or her memories are going to be the key to what happened to the world or something.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But like, it seems really cool, so I'm going to try and finish that tonight. And I love anything Hugh Jackman is, because goddamn, the man is gorgeous. So I can say that about most actors and whatnot, but the man is 50 and he's in a phenomenal shape, and he can deadlift more than I can. I've seen him do videos, so
I mean, yeah, for a 50-year-old, he's pretty amazing.
that's right, he is, and he'll always be my Wolverine forever and ever. Logan, that's what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, how can they replace him as Wolverine?
They can't.
They can't.
They can. I don't think they ever will. But I kind of hope they've kind of got talks into him coming back in the third Deadpool movie as Wolverine, just like a little cameo.
That would be great.
Because like him and Ryan Reynolds have, it's like this bromance a little bit.
Mhm.
They make fun of each other back and forth. It's so I kind of think they've got something in the works.
I think
we'll
that would
see.
be perfect.
We'll see. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been doing. Have you been playing around with anything else or watching anything else?
I wanted to mention some of the anime from this season. I think I promised that last week.
Yeah, you did. Good.
A couple of them are interesting. There's one called The Case Study of Vanitas. I'm not sure if this one's going to be any good or not.
Okay.
It's about this like blue vampire who is somehow different from the red vampires.
He's blue?
He has blue eyes because he was born under the blue moon, which is apparently a thing.
I thought that he was like going to have blue skin. I'm just like, what in God's name?
I don't know. I'm on episode 3 of this one's been dubbed at this point. It might just be a dime a dozen anime. Yeah. I'm not sure yet, but it's not bad at least. Zombieland Saga has a second season. It's not as good as the first one.
Oh, don't say that. I loved the first season. It was great. It was so goofy and dumb.
It's just a little bit less character centric. It's still goofy and dumb.
Okay.
There's still lots of songs by zombie girls. So you'll probably still enjoy it if you like the first one.
Is the mindless one still in there? And she's like,
yes, Tay is still there.
Okay,
and
good.
She's still eating dried squid. So
good. I'm proud of that.
You can have fun with that. And actually, the first episode was really good.
Okay.
It's about how apparently off screen one of their performances was a massive bomb because they tried to book a bigger theater than they could.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost all their money. They went in debt, and the girls have been working part-time jobs to try and make the money back while the manager has been depressed and drinking himself into a stupor.
So he's gone the other way as opposed to like extreme, like, you know, overly protective guy. He's gone the other way. It's like, it doesn't care about
like extreme deadbeatness.
I love it.
Another good one was Full Dive. This ultimate reality RPG sucks. Ooh. This is one from last season that's almost done.
Okay.
But it's about a kid playing this overly realistic game, like to the point where it takes your nervous tics from real life and puts them in the game. And if you die, it destroys your game console to punish you.
It's a little bit almost like your Awaken Online kind of thing, a little bit almost.
It's kind of along those lines. I mean, among other things, in the first episode, the character accidentally kills his best friend.
Oh my God, accidentally?
Accidentally, but then it turns the character who is supposed to be his girlfriend into a murderous psychopath trying to go after him.
Oh my God.
At one point, he's getting interrogated and he pees his pants and attracts the attention of the interrogator.
Oh, Jesus. It's
kind of dark, but it's actually pretty funny too.
Okay. So it's actually got a little lighthearted humor in there a little bit?
Yes,
okay, good.
It's a lot of kind of dark humor. But
it sounds like it's right up my alley then. Maybe.
I think you would probably enjoy that one.
Okay.
Now, one that Jackie might enjoy, the Saint's magic power is omnipotent.
I think you told me about that one.
It's an isekai one. It's about a girl who gets pulled into the new world. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 girls that get pulled in, and at first they think she's not the magic saint person.
Yeah.
And she goes and works at a potion shop, and she makes a bunch of potions, and then she learns how to enchant things, and it's a charming little thing. It's a female-centric one.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty. It has relationships like a bit. Jackie might like that one.
Yeah, real feeling.
Yeah.
I'll ask her and see if she wants
There's
to watch
a few more that are probably good.
She's
Dungeon
not-
of the Black Company. I only watched like the first episode, but it seemed interesting.
Okay.
Kimono Jihen finished up from last season, of course, and that one was pretty good.
Okay.
I think that one sure will get another season. But actually, the most standout thing probably is that Dragon Maid is getting its second season.
What? Finally?
Yes.
Okay, so I know I don't really like isekais all that much, and that was one of those ones I actually really enjoyed. It was kind of crude enough and funny enough. I was about it a little bit more, and so I can kind of I will probably watch the second season with Jackie if that when that comes out.
I remember Jackie really liked Dragon Maid.
Even with like some of the weirdness and like kind of like the overt sexualization a little bit, it was still pretty funny though.
Well, among other things, the female gets turned into a male in like the first episode or two, and there's a new dragon. So,
oh my goodness, so that sounds fun. I would be down to see that. So, but yeah, that's cool. That's a great lineup for this year. I think we might start doing that every so often, seeing if you want to point out some new anime that you're seeing. You know, maybe a quarterly thing every so often.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
That'd be fun because I know because you're a little bit more in touch with that than I am. I'm kind of like a casual dip my toe in every once in a while. So
yeah, Kelly and I watch an awful lot of this.
I noticed. I did not notice at all, James, when I get on Funimation and I'm just like, my God. I'm like, I'm trying to go back and find the episode that I was watching, and I'm like, I have to go back 15 episodes. I'm like, man, you guys have been powering through, haven't you?
Okay, so last one I want to mention. This one seems really promising. It's called The Dungeon of Black Company.
Well,
This is about a guy who is like the ultimate successful NEET in the real world.
Uh-huh.
Like he spent his 20s, day trading. He made his millions of dollars. He bought a bunch of high-rise apartments, and he set himself at the top of the biggest one. And he's like 25, and he's going to live off his passive income and live in his house for the rest of his life.
Super rich guy.
But yeah, and so he gets isekai into a new world, which is like this corporate-run world run by demons, and it's about him trying to claw his way back to the top of the corporate ladder.
I could dig that.
In the demon world. It's actually really funny.
Just like throwing somebody in a whole new, different...
I mean, in the second episode, he starts a workers' rights revolution among the monster ants in order to corner the market on goods coming from the third floor of the dungeon.
Yeah, okay, I might watch that.
I mean, it's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. Little real, too real world, but it's still really funny, though, to just check out. So, but yeah, so that's what we've been up to, guys. If you want to call in, or not when I say call in, like we're a call-in radio show or something. If you guys want to email us or post and tell us what you guys have been up to so we can discuss it on the show, let us know. But we're going to be moving straight on into I guess you would call it the luscious, fluffy potatoes with a nice turkey gravy. You want turkey gravy this time, James? Or
we can do turkey gravy.
Let's do a turkey gravy on top of there.
A nice roasted turkey gravy.
A nice roasted turkey gravy on top of the mashed potatoes. That is the news this week for August 21st. So what would you like to talk about first? You want to talk about some fun news? Or you want to talk about some sad news first?
Let's do the sad news first.
All right. So according to thegamer.com, written by Andrea Sharon, Halo Infinite's campaign won't ship with co-op at launch. So that's a big thing coming out of Microsoft Studios. So for 343's latest update, noting that they made the really, quote, really tough decision to delay Forge and co-op campaigns so the team could focus on the rest of the Infinite bringing the rest of Infinite up to the quality standards. There's no word on when Infinite itself is launching outside of the vague holiday 2021 window, so it's unclear on when they can expect Forge or co-op to follow.
I would just like to point out that this is awfully familiar to me. If you remember, like when Fortnite launched as a battle royale game, because the quote the single player campaign was taking too long to develop and they needed to support the game.
Yeah. Like I said, I would not be surprised. So
I expect loot boxes. I expect battle passes.
Yep.
All these wonderful things which Fortnite has brought into the world. This is going to be a Fortnite competitor.
It pisses me off a little bit. And I definitely understand that Microsoft is going to try and go into that market because it's a lot of money. They see how much money EA is making and all these other big companies are making just from these loot box systems. But the problem is I'm starting to see kind of pushback because I don't know how your feeling is on loot box. I know like more like morally, and then like as a video game enthusiast, as a video game enthusiast, I see that and I say, why the hell do you put this in my game? I just want to play my game. Just like let me choose what rewards I want. Give me a currency and I can pick out which rewards I want. I don't want to have to do a loot box where it's just some random system where I have to play over and over again. And the percentages of getting these really fun items that I might want are so like minute.
So, and that's the thing. It's like, morally, it's gambling.
Yeah, obviously.
And, like any type of gambling, I think, responsibly done, it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want that in my video games.
Yeah.
For me, gambling involves casinos and cigars and a poker table.
It's right. Not seeing the sunlight for, 3 days.
It's like I might show up and I might, drop $100 and I walk into the casino knowing that I'm going to leave $100 poor.
But do you walk into the casino dapper with a coat, with like a nice like suit and like the fedora and the glasses?
I should sometime.
With a cane, but you have to have an entourage of like people behind you, and one guy's just playing like music. Or
play the "Oh Big Lobster" song from Futurama. That'd be good.
I love that. I go like popular hip hop, and you're just like random obscure song.
It's Futurama. It's not obscure.
It's a lot more obscure than what I was going with. Okay, so. But anyways, that's actually a really good one. I do like that song. That might be our intro song. We might throw it in there today. But yeah, so that's kind of.
But like from a gaming standpoint, like the whole loot box phenomenon, the season pass thing. Like on one hand, it's nice because the games have more longevity. People are playing them. There's some incentive to like really master a game like Fortnite or something. You can compete and you got to get good. You can be part of this online thing. On the other hand, it encourages stagnation in a big way. And also it means that you're not really getting what you paid for.
No.
It's like you're not paying $40-$50 getting a finished product that at the end of the game's life cycle, you're going to stop playing it. It's something which is like meant to be a lifestyle thing. And so it's like I'm not just buying Fortnite to play it. I'm becoming a Fortnite player. And that means you're going to put in 5, 10 hours, 20 hours a week.
Yeah. It's got that kind of mentality about it, right?
It's kind of like an MMORPG, but for shooter fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what they did.
Or Dota fans or whatever.
Yeah, they took that model of like, hey, these people are playing these matches constantly to try to like either increase their ranks or whatever it is. And now they're like, oh, if we can get these guys hooked in there and they're constantly coming back to try to get that dopamine hit and try to get that new item that, because Fortnite is big about it. Their season, like 24 or something stupid like that. They do it every few months. They basically drop it. They go, oh, hey, look, we got the new item you can try and get. It's a Thor's hammer, or it's
here's
you can
Galaxy
fly now.
Pickaxe. When you break a rock, it makes a star die. I mean,
yeah, and it's kind of one of those things that just kind of drives me up the wall that they do stuff like this. And I don't know. It just drives me at the wall that they feel like the need to do that. I feel like games should have kind of like a finite cycle, and I get that companies would rather have a standing model because it's so much easier for them to keep that game there and then just slowly implement things over the course of like a decade and keep sucking money out of it.
It's predictable, reliable revenue streams, and they all have the same pipe dream of turning gaming into a sport. Because they want gaming to be something you play at home with your friends, and then you watch the games on TV afterwards. And
because on top of that, you got
revenue, the first company that can really
merchandising, all that jazz, and it all comes with it. It's a huge cash cow they're trying to get.
And they know the first company that can successfully make gaming a couch activity you do with your family, like football or something. That game is going to live forever. So Overwatch dropped millions and millions and millions of dollars into it.
I don't know, like I said, with all their stuff going on, I don't know if it's going to last. Dude, they had the best.
They kind of lost their momentum whenever they failed to produce content for the game for like a solid year now. And so unless Overwatch 2 like really slaps hard, like it's going to have to be the best shooter we've seen since like the beginning of shooters. I think it's going to fall apart, especially with the scandal going on in Blizzard.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. And that's kind of my money is a little bit more on these. So I don't know. My money is going to be on some of these bigger like shooter games, probably more towards like Siege, maybe even a little PUBG possibly. But I just don't see that, Blizzard and those guys are going to go. You're going to have these smaller niche markets. And eventually I think that maybe like ESPN is going to buy up the rights to basically broadcast all these things. They're just going to be under one giant banner, but with all these little companies getting a little bit of the revenue in there, maybe.
It's a distinct possibility. I don't know. I mean, I know that the companies like Microsoft would love to be the one to come up with the channel, and everyone had to buy from them.
And to be fair, they've got...
But who has the money to out-broadcast a broadcast company? I think you're right. Eventually, it's going to get popular enough that ESPN or someone's going to buy it out and take over the market.
I think that Microsoft is making a few moves. They're buying up some of these smaller like gaming companies, and they've got the space to possibly like expand into that broadcasting area because they've got it's not like they don't have the server space, they've got the infrastructure for it. So I think
they've got the infrastructure, they've got the capital, and I would not be surprised at all if this Halo game comes out as a subscription type shooter game like Fortnite. Which kind of segues into another news story we have for today.
Yeah, which one you want
to do? Talking about Pokemon Unite, which is pretty much Nintendo's effort to jump in on the same cash stream.
Yeah, they're basically like, hey, look, we can do MOBAs. It's basically just Dota with Pokemon slapped on it.
I mean, it is, I have to admit, since the last time we talked about this game, I have played it. It is genuinely fun. Is it something that I'm going to devote more time than I already have to it? Probably not. I mean, I played it for 10 or 20 hours, and I'm probably done with it now.
That's why I kind of have the feel of it too. It's like so we'll talk about this. So Pokemon Unite is going to get a release. It's basically it's going to be released on mobile devices. So I guess they had enough of a positive response to it that Nintendo's doing the Nintendo thing. Nintendo's been trying to move to mobile spaces for quite some time. They saw they've seen the success of Pokemon Go. They've kind of seen some middling success with some of their runners, their mobile runners like Mario Kart and the Mario runner and things like that. I guess they're finally saying, hey, if we get through this, we've already got on the Switch. Why don't we try to throw on the phone?
Well, it's a good move. I mean, the mobile game market is huge, especially amongst younger end of gamers. When you're getting to like your teenagers and younger, playing on your home device is.
Well, I mean, who doesn't have a phone nowadays?
Everyone's got a phone, and people are willing to drop a few bucks at a time on their phone while they're doing other stuff because they're not thinking about it.
Well, because I mean, the worst that happens is they charge maybe $5 for the game, and so that's $5 for the game, and on top of it, you can buy, like we were saying, you can buy all those power ups, those game boosts that help you level up your items and things like that. And that's it's just gonna be one of those whales. Like, who's gonna find that whale, right? And I think everyone is just trying to get out there, and they're trying to play that Ahab, have at the that grinning whale kind of thing. They're trying to get out there, and they're gonna try and harpoon this whale to try to get as much money out as people as possible. I think it's something like I forgot what I read it a while ago. It's something like $3 billion a year are spent on mobile phone transactions.
Oh, I'm sure at least. And the really sick thing is that Google and Apple pocket a nice 20% of that.
Yeah, 20, 30%. It's like something ridiculous. Yeah.
Just for using their marketplace,
which, to be fair to them, every other video game distributor does a very similar thing.
Yeah.
But
there's a huge shakeup about that right now,
There was a wonderful lawsuit this last summer, which is very interesting reading for anyone who's actually
I would check it out. Yeah, between Epic and Apple, and I believe it was also Google too.
Google jumped in on it eventually, but Fortnite, the Epic Games and Fortnite specifically was suing Apple.
Yeah. Because, like I said, they want to make it's just like every company. It's a dog eat dog world out there, and they're all trying to get as little. 3% here and 3% there add up a lot in the long run, right?
Well, and the interesting thing about it is what we saw with this Apple lawsuit. So it's like, well, if you have a game that's across multiple platforms, which is quickly becoming the norm, thank goodness.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years coming at least, but it's starting to become the norm now. So now you can play Pokemon Unite, just for example, on the Switch, or you can play it on your iPhone.
Yep.
Well, if you buy your Pokemon Bucks on your iPhone, then Apple gets that cut. If you buy your Pokemon Bucks on the Switch, then Nintendo gets that cut.
Yeah. It's all about where you want to put your money at, right?
And so I was like, where are you going to spend that money at, especially if your account continues over both platforms? And this is where the Epic lawsuit came from, because they were selling their Epic Bucks for less money on PC than they did on the Apple Store, because they didn't want to give Apple 20%.
to be fair, if I was them, I would have done the same thing because it provides more revenue on there, like direct revenue to them. It's the business model. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
And the problem is that they advertised it in game on the iPhone.
Yeah.
Where they directly said in game, they would say, "Hey, don't buy stuff here. Go to this other place." And Apple's like, "Whoa, that breaks our terms of service."
That's where you done fucked up, Aaron.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Pokemon Unite's getting a release date. It's going to be September 22nd.
Yeah, but back to the news.
Actual news. Yeah, we're just griping about loot boxes now.
Yeah, get off my lawn, kids.
I know. I'm a curmudgeon now. Anyway, Sylveon and Mammoth Wine.
That's all that matters.
Oh, thank you.
So, anyways, you're going to say it's going to be released into the Android and iOS on September 22nd. And what else?
And Sylveon and Mammoth Wine are going to be released as new playable Pokemon.
I have no idea who those are.
Sylveon is like the fairy type Eevee.
Okay.
And Mammoth Wine is a big freaking ice mammoth.
Oh, okay, cool. So, on top of that as well, though, apparently since they announced that at the Pokemon Presents broadcast, they said if you pre-register on the App Store or the Google Play, Nintendo notes that if you pre-register, if it hits that certain number of participants, those that sign up will receive in-game bonus items such as 1,000 Arrows tickets and a festival-style skin for Pikachu.
Woo!
Yay! Give me more. I want more for my loyalty. Give it to me.
I mean, Pikachu skins are a heavy currency.
I'm just saying. So I've actually already pre-registered. So
really?
Yeah. This is going to keep me busy if, depending on what the future holds and things like that, and especially if I'm just sitting in my car not doing anything.
1,000 tickets, that gets you like 100 item upgrade modules.
I know it's well worth it, dude. Like
That'll
I said,
get you like 2 levels for your item that you're trying to upgrade.
What? That's right. Suck it. Talking about some other like more fun things though that are actually occurring in games, some more positive things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are familiar with the Fallout 76, I believe that's who they signed. They're talking about for. So Bethesda actually hired a head writer of the Fallout London mod. This is coming from also thegamer.com by Rihanna Bevan. Apparently, it was the announcement. Fallout London was revealed to the world in June with an incredibly impressive AAA quality announcement trailer. Now it appears the fans of the series weren't the only ones hooked in, as Bethesda has hired the project's lead writer. So that is a Stephanie. I'm going to butcher her last name, Zachariadias. I believe that's how you say her name. But she's actually officially been hired by Bethesda to be a writer for some of the trail stuff that's coming out in Fallout 76. I know you're not a big Fallout fan, but I was just going to put that out there because you don't see this happen very often, especially in the big gaming scenes. Like a lot of these guys that do their own personal mods and things like that, they usually don't get hired by these companies. They usually get sued into oblivion because
it's gone both ways in the past. Like the Stanley Parable, for example, was originally a mod that got eventually sold by Steam. I know there's some other mod writers that have gotten pulled into projects before.
It's usually in smaller, more smaller,
usually more indie stuff. Or actually, another good example: the Binding of Isaac, Repentance, was based on a mod.
Yep.
And they hired the whole team and pretty much just rewrote the whole Anti-Growth mod, which is where Repentance came from.
Yeah, which is phenomenal, by the way. Yeah, talking about
it's a great game. But...
Yeah, I kind of actually had to take a break from doing the basic Isaac runs, and I started playing some Greed Ultra modes. Yeah,
Greed mode. I struggle with Greed mode because
it's fun, but at the same time, it's like a compressed version of the game a little bit.
The randomness is even more real.
Yeah.
And my skill level is not good enough to make up for a bad start in Greed mode because having to do 10 waves or 12 waves. The amount of consistency you need to clear that without some strong upgrades is hard.
And that's what I've come and run into is if I don't have a damage upgrade, luckily the all-stat pluses, all-stat increase drops are significantly a little bit higher, I think.
They're pretty common. If you restart 5 or 6 times, you can usually get one.
You usually get that. And so it's not that terrible. And plus you have the D6 reroll at least once for your free item, so it's not terrible. And I can usually make it work for a little bit. There was a couple I got really close to the end a couple times on a couple, and just made me a little mad. But
just wait till you're trying to get the Ultra Greed completion mark for the Forgotten or something.
It makes me so mad, dude. It kind of makes me a little anxiety inducing just thinking about it.
It took me so long to get Eves because she's just such a shit character.
That's why it's like I don't know why anybody wants to play with her. It's no offense. It's like I just don't like that character.
I don't like her either, but her unlocks are amazing. So
which is why they do that.
You have to do it.
That's a shitty thing for them to do because they know what they're doing. So, but yeah, that is kind of a cool thing. So apparently, like I said, they're going to bring her on for. They're going to bring Miss Stephanie on for the new Fallout game, kind of Fallout 76 roadmap they're going to try to do. So what they're looking to do is hopefully she's going to be writing some of the expansions that are coming for Fallout 76 is what I believe that they're going to be doing. I guess they were so impressed. I have not seen the trailer for Fallout London yet, but to be fair though, it's really cool. So the whole series actually, it's not set in the US like most Fallout games are. It's actually set in London, like I was saying. But she basically did all this stuff that you could possibly think about. She threw in a bunch of different factions, the Gentry, the Tommies, and the Isle of the Dog Syndicate. So it's pretty cool that she's really like done a lot of work on this.
And that's exciting, and it makes me wonder if her mod is going to be pulled into the game.
That would be really
cool. A lot of
cool.
times when they hire these writers, it's because they want to use their IP as part of their game.
Which I would be totally down with that because it would be nice to see. Because don't get me wrong, have you played any of the Fallout games?
I've dabbled in them here and there, and they're cool games. I've just never really gotten into one.
Yeah, so you know where they kind of jump around.
It's about like
different
bunker culture, and they're like jumping around different parts of the world.
There are different parts of the U.S. They've never gone outside the U.S. Mm-hmm. So the first one, obviously, you've got it in like you have the D.C. areas. The first one, Boston, D.C. area. Mm-hmm. The second one is out in 3 is in the Boston, D.C. area. 4. Yeah,
you're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, New Vegas. New Vegas is in obviously the Los Angeles, Las Vegas area.
I played that one. You got me a copy of New Vegas.
That was really good.
That one for a bit.
Fallout 4 is in the Appalachian area. No, Fallout 4 Appalachians. No, I'm having a brain fart. I think no, Fallout 4 is not in the Appalachian area. I'm gonna have to look back that is also, I think that's more of a New England-y area as well. I have to look at the money, but 76 is based in the Appalachian area. So they have not gone out of the United States yet, which I would really like to see what they would do. And I think they kind of don't. I think they're a little afraid to go outside of the United States because I think maybe they think they're going to hit some stereotypes or something.
I don't know. I mean, it's also like the game has a very distinctive style of humor and writing.
Yeah.
And a very distinctive, the way they have like their in-game advertisements of different items popping up. I don't know how well that would translate to other cultures.
I mean,
sticking to one language and one culture has to make that a little bit easier.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I would totally agree. But then you get things like Ghost of Tsushima, which you have an English-based like company that will basically go over and they just inundate themselves with the culture. Mm-hmm. They like do trips over there. They watch tons of videos. They basically read all this culture. They learn about that samurai culture, every minute detail. And you have an amazing project that comes out that from people that have literally they didn't live in the culture. They didn't grow up in the culture, but they can observe and absorb the culture and still make a really good product out of it. Which that's all it would take, really.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and I think it would be the logical extension. They've covered a lot of the geographic areas of the U.S.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's unless they come down to good old Mississippi around Missouri. I'm just saying,
if they do like a Fallout St. Louis, I'll play it.
Hey, I would totally build a base in the Arch, even though it's like super like not feasible whatsoever. I'm just saying. It would be really fun to actually. I'd probably take over the Anheuser. That'd be really cool. You could take over the
Anheuser Brewery.
The Anheuser Brewery a little bit, maybe take out Forest Park a little bit. But anyways, so that is the Fallout news. The final piece of news we have is another little bit of sad news on my end, and I kind of cooked this in a little bit with maybe our more card gamey board, tabletops type stuff. Magic the Gathering and the anime Netflix series actually has just lost the Russo brothers. And this comes out of IGN by J. Kim Murphy. So if you guys are not familiar with the Russo brothers, these are the two guys that basically did all the writing for, I believe it was Captain America, Winter Soldier, And then they also did
Infinity Wars.
They did Infinity Wars, and they did Endgame as well. So they basically did and they did a couple other little ones in there too. But those are the three. The fact that they did those three major films, every single one of those films, and especially Infinity War and Endgame, were huge money makers.
Well, and they also lost Henry Gilroy, who wrote the Clone Wars at the same time.
Jiminy Christmas! So, I love that.
And Jose Molina, who's Agent Carter, also left.
Jeez, that just makes
so they lost a lot of their star power.
So that just it kind of that kind of speaks a little bit of like doom and gloom for me a little bit.
It's when you have a group of people who are passionate about such an old IP as Magic the Gathering, because these are really big name individuals, and I don't know what it costs to bring them onto this project, but probably way more than Netflix was ever going to make for the show.
No, absolutely.
They might have been doing it for less than they're worth, but when all these people leave at the same time, that's a sign that Netflix was probably trying to take this in a bad direction.
Which makes me sad because I kind of like that. So Ravnica is the world where a lot of this stuff occurs at. And I love that. I love that whole idea of, the magic, the Planeswalkers universe, right? Because Ravnica's the world, right?
There's a number of them. Ravnica is one of the worlds.
Okay, so there we go. That shows how much I know about this.
That's what the Planeswalkers are. They're the individuals who can cross the planes to different worlds.
Yeah, and I know Ravnica is one of them, like I said. And I've always really enjoyed the different aspects of trying to figure out the different worlds and places that they come across and they find. And it seems like a really cool concept that you could do because it's such a rich history. Even just the amount of novels, actual written novels about Magic the Gathering and the Planeswalkers and stuff like that. It's extensive. I mean, there's probably
it's an awesome novelization, and I think there's potential for a really good show.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping this isn't going to be is the American Yu-Gi-Oh, where they're going to.
Dear God, don't no.
Well, I just like to point out that Magic the Gathering is competing against Hearthstone and other similar card games, and they've gone to an online platform too now, which. Granted, the new Magic Online is easily the best Magic the Gathering online experience. It's actually a pleasure to play.
Wait, you don't want to play the one where you had the overworld view and you have to walk places and you have to fight the little temples? You remember that one?
Okay, that game was actually really good. Okay.
I can't believe it. That's came out in 2000 or something like that.
No, that was 95.
Really?
That was for Windows 95.
Oh my God.
I remember us trying to make it run on Windows XP, and it was very difficult.
Yep. Okay, I remember that now. Yeah, because I remember us cursing a few times about that.
It wasn't just compatibility mode. We had to get a patch for the game too. Which...
Trust me, kids. You have no idea. Like I said, the amount of work that we had to put into play some of these games back in the day was just ridiculous. And now you just go online and find somebody who did it for funsies.
Yeah. Anyway, that game was actually a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't online by any stretch of the imagination.
That was the first digital deck builder, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Magic Online game was a ton of fun. I can't bring myself to buy cards on it because I grew up playing physical card Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, that slippery slope. And the fact that if I'm going to pay money for cards, I want to have a physical thing for it.
How can I enjoy the cocaine and the ink if it's not in my hands?
That's true. You have to absorb it somehow, James.
I know.
You have to physically touch to absorb the cocaine. Oh my God! So yeah, that's a cardboard crack reference.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, like I said, it's a cool IP. There's a ton of history. I'm really worried this is meant to be a tie-in to the card game, and it's going to be a bad thing. We'll see. Especially when a bunch of these big developers left.
Kind of leave.
That makes me think that Netflix is starting to kind of shill it a little bit, and I don't know.
Well, I'll let you know for sure because, like I said, if it pops up eventually, I'm sure I can share my Netflix with you and you can watch it. At least tell me if you like it, or maybe I'll come over and we can watch it together.
We can do
maybe we can bash it together.
We can drink some bourbon and bash it.
I'm black. That's not my Planeswalker. You go back to your town, fish person.
Okay, I've only got one Planeswalker in my heart. His name is Urza.
That's right, forever Urza. That was a huge thing. What was the set called? It was Urza. It was Urza's.
I mean, Urza's Legacy was one set. There's a whole cycle of Urza's ones.
I remember there was a whole thing, but I remember you had
Urza was the Planeswalker.
Yeah.
Everyone else after him was a Planeswalker.
Yeah, talking about kids don't even know. Because I just remember you having all those Urza's gauntlets and Urza's ring and all that stuff, and it's just it was just a whole series of everything was Urza's, and I was just Jiminy Christmas. I'm this was.
I mean, yeah.
I just remember that. Yeah, I
remember fun combo cards. I mean,
They were really fun. I remember I was being I was your test guinea pig for the longest time. You're like, I want to see if this works. David, here, take this shitty deck and play with it. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, that was my role in life. But yeah, that is the news. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into our Axiom Verge review?
One quick plug. Carl Jobst, the gaming legend that he is, released a video just today about fraud and deception in the retro video game market.
Mm-hmm.
It's about an hour long. It is well worth the watch. Suffice to say that the Heritage Auction House, the Waka Games that is grading these games, are in bed together. They share a lot of the same executives, and they have artificially created this market for sealed video games, which have been graded, and they happen to be some of the same people who were involved in the coin bubble from the 80s.
Yeah, so
it's a very interesting rabbit hole, and I assume no one listening to this is buying these because none of our listeners would have that type of money. But
well, possibly if you do donate, possibly be our Patreon. I will come over and I will wash your feet for $1 million. I was about almost at $1,000. I was like, I have a higher price tag than that.
I mean, I might drop the money for that.
You want me to wash your feet for $1 million?
Just to humiliate you? Yeah.
That's my price point is $1 million. I don't care. I'm just saying. It's not going to be done well. I'm just going to tell you that right now because, details aren't my things. So anyway.
It's not going to be a proper petty. Anyway, never mind.
You can get that petty.
Suffice to say,
petty,
if you haven't checked out Carl Jobs' channel, you should. Yeah. He's a legend, but also this is an important video people should watch.
It is a very good video. Like I said, I kind of you put me on it. I'm going to try and watch it later tonight, but it kind of dials back into that story we had last week when that sealed Super Mario Bros. Cartridge that
sold for $2 million.
$2 million. So that's one of the companies that was involved in that. So just keep that in mind, guys. Like I said, if you guys don't think that this is getting me a little conspiratorial, a little Alex Jonesy a little bit, but if you guys don't think some of these companies work the system for their benefit, you guys are willfully ignorant, and I think you guys just need to take a deep look at how they game some of these. Well, no pun intended, they game the system for their benefit.
Yeah. So, at the risk of belaboring this, for example, the auction house takes a 25% cut of everything that's sold.
Yep.
The video game grading company, Wonka Games, they take 2% of the listed value of the game when they grade it for you.
Yep.
And anyway, watch the video.
It's another reason why
it's very interesting, and it'll open your eyes a little bit to how
it's kind of one of those reasons. Why I don't send off my comic books for grading. I just kind of let them be. If they're not going to be, I don't really plan on ever getting them graded. I just want to enjoy them. And that's why I think that a lot of these things should be just enjoyed. But that's just me.
And that's one of the differences between a collector who wants to collect things and show them off, and a speculator who is buying things to resell them.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference right there.
And it sounds like they're more speculators. So
they are speculators.
Anyways, so
finally getting to the game we're going to talk about today.
Happy topics, James. So let me ask you, James. So what would you call this game? Would you consider this like a nice half chicken, half roasted dinner, or would you call this more of a filet mignon, or maybe a nice meaty 15-ounce prime ribeye steak?
See, to me, this is like a comfort food of gaming.
Okay,
it's an old formula that works. So I'm going to go with the steak.
The nice steak.
Maybe not a ribeye. It might be like a strip, but
it's okay. Get a little Newark strip, about an 8-ounce.
A little less fat, a little bit less fat on it, a little bit smaller,
little leaner. But yeah,
but a nice steak, and you can have the potatoes with it. So I mean,
that turkey gravy would go great with it. So God, we are so hungry right now. So obviously, we're getting into the Axiom Verge review. So I kind of thought about bringing this up because Axiom 2 is actually just got released, and it's the successor to this. So this is a widely successful independent game that came out in 2015, March 2015. And is actually created by Petroglyph Games engineer Tom Happ, solely by him. It's actually that's a little contentious point. If you play the game, if you go through the credits, it says this game was created solely by Tom Happ, and some people that played it actually got a little pissed at him when he said that, when he wrote that on there. But to be fair, he's like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just I did. I was the only person that remarked on it. If you watch a video of him, he's like a pretty chill dude. So. Yeah. So anyways, Axiom Verge is a Metroidvania game by American indie developer Thomas Happ. The game was originally released in, like I said, in March 2015 in North America and April 15th in Europe and Australia for the PlayStation 4. So the PlayStation 4 is where it was really originally released, and eventually it was, like everything else, it got released to Microsoft Windows, the OS X, Linux. Then it went to the PlayStation Vita before the Vita went the way of the Dodo. And then eventually it was released onto the Xbox, the Wii U, and eventually on the Switch. So, like I said, this thing has proliferated for quite some time.
And to kind of put it into context, it's a Metroidvania game,
yep.
which we talk about a lot on this show because we're into that type of game.
Yes, very much.
But this game came out when the genre was kind of dead.
Very much so.
It came out in March of 2015. For reference, another game in a similar genre, Ori and the Blind Forest, came out in 2015 in May, so just a month later. And Hollow Knight, the breakaway hit, was more like 2017, 2018. Yep. So this is kind of the regenesis of this whole
This is the very
genre.
Yeah.
And I think this one didn't get quite as much hype as the other ones because this one is much kind of truer to the roots of the genre.
Very much so. So it
looks like a Metroid game.
I mean, well, as I say, you haven't played it, but you were watching
a video. I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like Super Metroid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I played quite a bit, and actually gotten about halfway through it, and I just haven't taken the time to sit down and say, hey, I'm going to finish this. But I really loved. The first time I played it. It was just before our son was born, and I was just powered through it. I played for like a good solid 8 hours in 2 days playing it, and it was phenomenal. But yeah, so this game, like I said, it's a labor of love from this Thomas Happ that you just don't see very much anymore in that style of Metroidvania. And he did everything, dude. This was just a side project. If you watch the video, there's a development video that he did, anticipating back in March or back in May as they anticipated the release for Axiom 2. And he talks about, he goes, like, yeah, this was just a fun little project. And I told myself, and he goes, if I don't ever do this, if I don't decide to do this, I'm never going to do it. And he goes, I just did it. And he was, and so he's working 8 hours a day as a regular developer. For every 9 to 5 day job, and then on the side he's working an extra 8 hours doing this every single day for 5 years.
Wow!
And so, like I said, he did everything on this. He did he was the artist, the game developer, the musician for the game, and like I said, it all started back in 2010, and it was just a labor of love that he just really wanted to do, and it's just really interesting to watch. So you kind of the basis on this story of the game, because I know I don't want to get too much into it. He plays this scientist back that's working on the Axiom project in New Mexico, somewhere. I don't know if it was Roswell. It's in New Mexico in back 2005. And the story kind of progresses from there. You activate the machine, and you kind of almost get transported to another dimension, world type thing. And as you get in there, you have to you start to find out there's these creatures in there that are all kind of mutated, much like in Metroidvania. And you kind of connect with a computer that used one of the computer, it looks like this giant head. It looks like a giant female robot head.
Just like a Zordon in a tube type of thing?
Kind of. It wasn't in a tube, but it's kind of the same thing. It's really gross and creepy. It's on the cover. If you see it, it's there. It's phenomenal looking. The art in this is gorgeous. If that's one thing I can say about this, I love the art style in this game.
It's got a very retro, 8-bit, 16-bit era,
so.
Limited color palette.
Yeah,
it feels like an old school game.
Oh, it's just gorgeous. But yeah, you meet up with this
maybe early Super NES type stuff.
You meet up with this robot, kind of sentient being. She's just kind of this is our world is the deteriorated. And as I've gone, some of my fellow, regulators is what I don't know what they call them, but they call them basically the people that help run the world have kind of fall into this disease. And this other big bad guy, which I can't remember his name, but eventually you have to go and you go through and you have to fight them all, and you get these weapons as you go through. Just like Metroid, you go through and you get these power ups, you get these different weapons, you get health upgrades, you get damage upgrades, things like that. But on top of it, it has all these little. It's like I said, it's all platformers, and it's not platformers. You have to jump up the different levels, and it has the tubes that go from the different areas. It's phenomenal. It's like I said, it's if I could show you guys the visual game like through this medium, I would totally show it to you because it's one of my games that I will probably go back and just play, for probably the rest of my life. Because every once in a while I'll pick it up and just kind of like play with it a little bit and just kind of see where I'm at in the game. But yeah, what did you think about just looking at it, James?
Like you said, my first impression just watching a clip of it was it looks just like Metroid.
Absolutely.
And the way it has some platforming elements, the power-ups. I mean, I know those are all kind of the elements of a Metroidvania, but this one had much more of a Metroid feel, whereas mentioning them again, like some of the newer games like Ori and Hollow Knight have more distinct art styles. They kind of have a departure from themes, and they have their own stories and their own art style. This one felt more like a love letter back to Metroid.
No, absolutely, yeah.
And it looked really cool.
Yeah, like I said, I would highly recommend you guys to go see it because, like I said, or at least go try it out because it's one of those games that, like I said, it's a labor of love that he said it several times when I was watching the documentary about it. It's just a labor of love that he truly just wanted to put something out there that somebody would like, and it's definitely a little bit like a step up from, I guess you would say, story-wise, from just the regular Metroid game, but it has all those elements still, and it's still kind of like a high sci-fi kind of almost concept, so it's still fun.
Yeah, and you always want to support a one developer game because this is like Concerned Ape when he did Stardew Valley. I mean, not a lot of developers do the entire game and the art and the music.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who do most of the game and then they kind of outsource the art and the music because that's a whole different skill set.
So, and I kind of want to make a caveat on a point on that. So, on top of that, about Mr. Happ, I'm not trying to make you guys go out and buy it and whatnot, but I'm going to say he recently had his child was actually born a little bit after this was released, and his kid was born with a form of cerebral palsy, which is rough. I know, and it's actually a lot of the money that he's gotten from this first game, has been gone towards medical bills for his kid. So, like I said, if you guys, like I said, $20, $30, whatever it is, go out and support this guy because he every video I've seen of this guy, he's super supportive of the community. He actually even developed a speedrunning mode for the game for people to play. And he's constantly interacting with people, like the people that speedrun this game or have questions about this game. He's constantly emailing him, going back and forth. So you can tell he's truly interactive. And if you guys can give just a little bit of money to this guy, even if this game is on sale, just go out and do it, guys. Because like I said, he's a really nice guy from what I've gathered. I might eat my words in a few years. Maybe he's a woman beater. I don't know. Who knows? But I seriously doubt that he is. And he just seems like a really nice guy. And it seems like he's just really trying to leave a legacy for his family now. And he's trying to on top of that, he's trying to make a game that he thinks that everybody really, really, really enjoys. So that's just my caveat, and I'm just throw it out there. So, but yeah, James. Overall, this game, like I said, originally didn't get a lot of press on it, and eventually, like I said,
that at the time when he released it, the genre was kind of dead.
Yeah, he didn't get a lot of press on it, and luckily he partnered with the guy that really pushed. He actually was working for Nintendo maybe like a couple months before he ended up getting hired by Mr. Happ and working with him. Yeah. So I cannot remember the gentleman's name. He hooked up with him, and the guy actually was doing, a lot of those indie games on the Wii and the Wii U is what he was pushing for. At the time, that's where he was looking for. And then when he left, he was like, "Oh, hey, this is right up my alley. I love indie games. That's why I've been trying to push on the Nintendo." And Nintendo really wasn't, Nintendo doesn't really go for that all that much. At
the time they didn't. The Switch is when they kind of got into it.
Finally, I guess they finally figured out, hey, this is a thing that you need to do.
Well, right after they saw how much money Steam was making off of them.
Oh, absolutely. God, yeah. And so they get in there and he really starts pushing it. And that's when this game just explodes. And people are like, it was just gangbusters. So on top of a huge reception that it's gotten, it just was. It's one of those things that you got a huge reception, sold a ton of them, a ton of copies. I'm trying to remember exactly how many they said they sold, but it looks like via the reception they sold. They via the critical reception. you're looking at things, most of the reviews and things like that are around, 80s, 90s. I think the lowest one I saw was maybe a 79.
It's pretty good.
Like I said, most of these guys, they look at this game, they say, this is a highly, polished game for one person to be able to put this much effort into it. So I would highly recommend you guys going out there. I can't remember how many copies he sold. He sold, I think I have to look it up again, but it was quite a bit. So, but yeah, on top of that, like I said, he was, he actually, I know I'm a little bit all over the place on this one. But after the critical reception, he actually did a little bit more work on it while he was preparing for Axiom Verge 2. Like I said, he updated it with the speedrun mode. He upgraded it with a couple updates, which fixed a few bugs.
I saw he even built a randomizer for his own game.
Yep.
I mean, that's unheard of, and that's
what I'm saying.
That's something which not many people are ever going to even touch. I mean, game randomizers are kind of a streamer thing.
Yeah, and that's why I said he's very much in touch with this community, and the fact that it's only one person, it kind of helps a little bit, I think, as a developer. It helps him kind of stay in touch with the people and kind of sees their needs and what they want to do. And on top of it, like I said, he is a professed video game lover. Mm-hmm. Like he played these, he played Super Mario and all those games when he was growing up, and he even says it in the documentary that I watched. And he even says, like I said, he loved Metroid and he loves these kind of games, and he wants to kind of pass it along to future generations. Yeah. And hopefully, like I said, you've seen this revitalization of the Metroidvania, like I said, between even the roguelites, even a little bit.
Yeah, I think it kind of came. I mean, I hesitate to even bring it up, but Dark Souls brought back this interest in these punishingly hard games. You're right, you had some roguelites like Rogue Legacy and stuff, yep. And I think Metroidvanias are kind of a natural addition to that. I think they're fun.
Yeah, they're a blast. Like I said, I would highly recommend you guys going out and buy it. I could ask you how many Axiom Verges you give it out of 10, but you haven't played it yet. So
I have not played it. So
no.
How many Axiom Verges do you give?
I'm going to give it an 8.5 Axioms out of 10.
That's a pretty high number for you.
It's yeah. I'm pretty skeptical on most games, but like I said, I love sci-fi, and it's just one of those genres that really kicks me, hooks me in. And obviously, maybe I'm just a stereotypical nerd. I like sci-fi and fantasy stuff. So, but I like that. It really scratches that itch. It's kind of a weird kind of storyline that's something you haven't seen before, or seen something like this in a long time. So I just really enjoyed it. So
yeah, great game, retro art style, classic concepts.
Thanks for ringing me in there because I was kind of a little bit all over the place. So that's what happens sometimes.
Go out and get it if you like all those things.
No, absolutely. So. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap up. If you guys have any other games you guys want us to review or look at, hit us up on Facebook, any of the social medias. You can hit us up at seriouslypointlessconvo at gmail.com. Like I said, you just tell us what you want to hear. If not, actually, James, I think I missed something. I think this was our anniversary episode.
Is this our anniversary episode?
I think at the time I was recording this.
Gosh, it is August. Yeah, it's pretty close.
I think we totally missed that, and so I might have to look at that again. I think this is episode 26 of season 2.
Well, maybe we can celebrate. Next episode can be our anniversary episode. We can do some champagne.
1 year together.
Do
James.
some champagne. 1 year.
The honeymoon phase hasn't broken
strong.
yet.
Not yet. 2 years. 2 years honeymoon phase.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. I'm going to say thanks. And like I said, hopefully we'll have something fantastic planned for you guys next week. Like I said, hit us up. Let us know what you guys like about this podcast. If you don't like about the podcast, let us know as well. Again, James, I want to say thanks for coming in and waxing with me a little bit.
Thanks for having me. Always a ton of fun.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys. Have a good week. All right. Bye. If you're interested in keeping up to date with new episodes on our channel, add us on any of your favorite podcasting apps, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Seriously Pointless Conversations. If you have questions or concerns, please email us at seriouslypointlessconvo@gmail.com. We appreciate any feedback. Thank you for listening to our show.